The vehicles here are Jeeps. Now, there never was a company called Jeep until recently, despite a lot of misnomers. The proper name for this vehicle is a general purpose truck, one-quarter truck, 1/4 ton. And of course, that's a little bit of a mouthful. And the first two letters are G and P. So the American troops just call them Jeeps. They're a very simple carbureted 2-litre engine. They're 4-wheel drive on a simple box chassis, and they work incredibly, insanely well. There is a joke that the actual anachronism for them, Jeep, stands for just enough essential parts. But they were used in every theatre, including the Eastern Front, and they were used for ambulances, radio trucks, and we have Germans in a trench. And the Jeeps that are getting out of there, they're not armed to fight these. So here we go. We all have to stretch our battlefield a little bit. We'll see what happens. Now, the Germans do have an anti-tank gun. This anti-tank gun is a Pak-36. At the beginning of the war, its 37mm high-velocity shell was perfectly adequate to take out most tanks. By the 1941, tank technology had surpassed it. There we go, and they fired. I think they missed. The French there hiding behind the tank trap. That would have been put on a major road or artery road to, of course, prevent the ingress of armoured vehicles. Our other Jeeps are going to be assumed to leave the battlefield for this moment, and I'm going to get behind where they are. This leaves just our commandos on the battlefield fighting the entrenched Germans. They're in a bit of a sticky situation there. And it looks to me like the Pak-38 crew are currently reloading, so they're going to fire another 37mm shell, which is perfectly adequate to take out soft targets or light armoured vehicles. And that one here, he's hit the front radiator grill, he's got the engine block, the oil's on fire. That Jeep is not going anywhere. The German troops, by the way, understand the value of defence, but it looks like they too are under fire, because I don't know if you can see at the far end of the battlefield, but the British commandos have got a mortar. Now, a mortar is an incredibly simple piece of equipment. It's a steel tube that has a firing pin at the bottom. You drop the shell into it, it hits the thing at the bottom, pops straight back out. Out it comes in a nice arc. They generally range between 400 and 500 metres, and this means that if you've got an infantry group and they've got a mortar with them, the mortar, if you've got 10 men, every man carries a mortar round, and every man carries a belt for the machine gun, you've got your own fire support. The Macchi there, it looks like the Macchi have actually got it. The British there trying to defend the position on the beach. But the American, we've got more. The Jeeps have returned the other two, and they've taken out the pack. You are allowed to cheer, by the way, I can hear cheering. They've taken out the pack crew. We've got a Scotsman here, of course, in his kilt. I saw him with some bagpipes earlier. I'm quite sad he didn't bring one on the field. By the way, interestingly enough, these two Jeeps here have got two of John Browning's most incredible inventions. The 30 cal machine gun that's on this one, and of course he upsized it to that one. These are both made by the same guy. This is the 50 cal. In fact, most Americans believe that this was, you shouldn't use it against troops because it was originally an anti-tank weapon. There you go. And it looks like they've captured all the Germans, killed the anti-tank crew. It looks like this fight is over. It looks like the Scottish led the Americans in from behind. What do we reckon to that? We got more Americans arriving. Obviously late, of course, because that's their job. And this is actually a high-ranking American come to see what's been going on. I said earlier that the war in the Eastern Front was a particularly horrific affair, and we saw really the execution of prisoners and things like that. The Western Front was vastly different. These things didn't happen. There were prisoner of war camps that were established. Most people went to prisoner of war camps in both countries. And of course, they would be taken into prisoner of war camps, serve out the time in the prisoner of war camps, and most of them would end up going back home. It was considered the job of every prisoner of war to escape, and some of them became very famous and proficient at it, and that's why we have super high-tech prisoner of war camps like Colditz arrive, where people who were real pains in the backside and kept repeatedly escaping were sent to, which of course was good fun, because then they just kept escaping from there as well. The first thing that would be happening, of course, they'd find out where these troops came from. And sadly, what happened on D-Day, and in fact, there's I'm going to tell you something here which might upset some people. There's a scene in Private Ryan where two German soldiers approach the Americans and they're shouting at them, yeah? What they're saying is, we're Yugoslavians, we've been forced to fight, we're surrendering. And the Americans don't understand them and shoot them. And that's probably changed your viewing of Private Ryan on that, hasn't it? But that actually happened. A lot of these are not Germans. A lot of them are pressed into service from other countries. Well, would the dead of the battlefield please arise? It's very hot today. And we'll let you all do a lap of the field. Our gun crew have gone to sleep, I think. You can wake up. No, they don't want to wake up, do they? You get up now. Incidentally, I love this soldier. He's got great kit. If you look at German soldiers, a lot of people see the models, they don't understand what half the things are. They're cartridge cases, and if you just turn around for me, the other equipment here, I know what these are, I know why he's got a steel tin on his canteen, and I know what's in that. But I'm not going to tell you, go and ask him. This guy's got fabulous kit, and he's just been laid in the dirt in it as well. But please go and ask these guys what's in these things, because it's very interesting and sometimes a little bit unexpected. Same with the British and the Americans. Please just go and ask them about anything. That's what we're here for. Well, ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause for our World War II? And we're going to back it up now a little bit, because we're in the small arena now. As I mentioned earlier, we've got World War I, which explains where most of this came from, the evolution of what we've got here.